If you are thinking about moving to Meridian, Idaho, this is a great video to watch because I'm going to dive into why Meridian, Idaho is in big trouble and why you might want to avoid moving to Meridian, Idaho in the future. So over the past year, a lot of people and families have visited Meridian and decided this place was not for them. Even worse, I know a few families who moved to Meridian and it was a huge mistake, and I really do not want that to happen to you. My name is Matthew and I post 2 new videos a week about Meridian, Idaho and the Treasure Valley to help you decide if this is the right place for you. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 9 months, please feel free to reach out. All of my contact information is down below. I'm genuinely excited to get to know you and learn all about your situation and goals, and this is a brand new YouTube channel, and my goal is to share with you why my family loves living here so much. From the neighborhoods to the pros and the cons and everything you need to know before making the move so you can feel confident that this is the right place for you. So my wife Rachel is originally from Coronado, California, and I'm from a small town in Washington called Pullman. We moved to Eagle, Idaho and truly couldn't imagine living anywhere else, so now let's get into the video. I have 7 total reasons of why Meridian, Idaho is in big trouble, and the first on our list is a lot of people feel like the lifestyle is changing and is going to change even more over the next 5 years. So Meridian has changed more in the last 5 to 10 years than almost any other city in the Treasure Valley and all of Idaho. If you haven't been here in a while, the lifestyle shift is pretty shocking. What people used to feel like was a quiet, small suburban town has transformed into one of the fastest growing cities in the entire state. So 10 years ago, Meridian was mostly just farmland, a few neighborhoods, and a handful of restaurants. Today, it's packed with new communities, new shopping centers popping up, absolute ton of parks, schools, and family-friendly amenities, and the population has exploded. And with that growth has come this whole new energy. Most people from out of state, more businesses, more restaurants, and overall just more life happening around you. That lifestyle that used to be slow and spread out now feels much more active and suburban feel, with families everywhere, events going on constantly, and with businesses and things coming in almost daily. Another big change is the mix of people living here. Even 5 to 7 years ago, most of Meridian was still very local. Now many families are relocating from California, Washington, Oregon, Texas, and all over the country. And that has brought a very new perspective, new expectations, and new standards for neighborhoods and amenities. And a lot of people here do not see that as a bad thing. It's not one of those places where the growth is really getting to everyone and they're really annoyed and mad about it. Here we're embracing the growth and everyone moving, and we might as well make it the best place we possibly can. But it is a big shift from what Meridian, Idaho used to be, and once was a more of a farmland, small town feel, has turned into the second biggest city in all of Idaho. It goes Boise, Meridian, and then Nampa. So if you're thinking of moving to Meridian, make sure you're going to enjoy what Meridian is now and what it has plans to become, which is even bigger, better, and bringing in more shopping malls and more city amenities with a whole lot more neighborhoods. So the second reason on our list, and one thing that you're probably going to start hearing more and more about Meridian, is their concern about the water supply and the quality of water, because the city is expanding so quickly that people here are beginning to wonder, how long can the current infrastructure really keep up? So Meridian relies entirely on groundwater from a network of wells, and as thousands of new homes are going up every year, the demand keeps rising and rising. The Treasure Valley as a whole has always depended heavily on snowmelt and aquifers, but with hotter summers, reduced snowpack, and more families moving in, water usage is becoming a real talking point. You're also seeing a huge shift in farmland get converted into neighborhoods, which changes the way water is used. Farms rely on surface water from canals, while homes rely more on groundwater, and that adds pressure to the aquifer system that we have. None of this means don't move to Meridian, but it does mean you should be aware that water conservation, landscaping choices, irrigation schedules, and long-term planning are all becoming a bigger part of the conversation in Meridian. And when you combine the water concerns with the overall growth, new neighborhoods, more schools, more traffic, larger utility demands, it makes sense why locals are paying close attention to what is actually going on with the water and utilities in Meridian. I will also link an article down below that talks about the water in Meridian and what they are doing to preserve it and their future plans. But like any fast-growing city, it has to balance the excitement of growth with the reality of long-term sustainability. I do have one big favor. If you could please hit the like button down below, that would be fantastic. It really does help this new channel grow and it helps me beat that YouTube algorithm. Another thing you should probably know about Meridian is the very real suburban sprawling vibe, which some people absolutely love and others really do not at all. Meridian has expanded so fast that what used to be farmland and open fields is now just neighborhood after neighborhood, and with subdivisions popping up everywhere you look, the city is very spread out, the streets are wide, and everything feels very suburban America. Big box stores, shopping centers, new schools, planned communities, and plenty of houses that look fairly similar in style. For some people coming from larger cities, this can feel clean, safe, and predictable in a very good way. But for others, especially those who want character, more walkability, older homes, or more that unique small town feel, Meridian can feel a little too cooker cutty, and that's when Boise really shines. Meridian is the kind of place where you drive everywhere, developments stretch for miles, and the vibe is very family oriented and structured. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of families move here because of that. But if you're someone who wants that charm, density, or a little more personality in your daily surroundings, then suburban sprawl of Meridian might feel a little bit of a downside, and it's not going to be changing anytime soon. The suburban sprawl will continue to grow and grow and grow. So the fourth reason why Meridian is in big trouble, and something that most people do not realize about living in Meridian, is the limited entertainment options, which can lead to a lot of driving and a little bit of boredom for some. Even though Meridian has grown like crazy and it has plenty of great restaurants, parks, and family-friendly activities, it's still not a place with endless nightlife, concerts, or cultural events. You'll need to drive into Boise for those. So if you're used to those big city amenities where you always have something happening, Meridian can feel a little bit quiet. A lot of residents can find themselves driving into Boise for shows, games, music festivals, or even just more variety in restaurants. But when it does come to malls, that is where Meridian shines. We have the Village at Meridian and a brand new mall I will cover later in this video. And because everything in Meridian is so spread out, even local activities can mean driving 20 to 30 minutes depending on where you live. For families and those who prefer that slower paced lifestyle, this isn't a big deal at all. But for people who crave more stimulation or want a city with consistent things to do, or more of a city lifestyle, Meridian's limited entertainment scene can be a real con. But it is clean, it is safe, and it is very convenient, but it's definitely not a busy or buzzing city, even though it's the second biggest city in Idaho. I know a family who moved from Meridian into Boise as they were just bored living in Meridian. They were tired of driving all the way into Boise for things to do, and they were just wanted more charm in their neighborhood. So if you watch a lot of my videos, you might catch on that a lot of people move here and then after a year or so start jumping around the Treasure Valley to find a better fit for them, and this is incredibly common. I want to pause for a moment. If you are serious about buying a home in Eagle or anywhere in the Treasure Valley, I'd love to help. Let's hop on a quick call and talk through your goals so we can figure out the best path forward for you. You can call, text, or email me. I truly love living here and couldn't imagine calling anywhere else home, and I'd love to help you feel the same. My wife Rachel and I are really blessed to work with some amazing people, and we would love to help you as well. And if you haven't already, make sure you download my Living in Eagle, Idaho guide below. I built it from scratch to cover the weather, events, my favorite neighborhoods, and every town in the Treasure Valley, and I made it specifically for someone just like you. So the weather in Meridian is the fifth reason on our list, and it can definitely surprise you once you live here, and a reason why some do not end up moving here to begin with. The first thing that catches newcomers off guard is the wildfire smoke. It isn't usually coming from Meridian itself. Most of it blows in from Oregon, Washington, and sometimes California, but when it settles into the Treasure Valley, it can linger for days or even several weeks. On those smoky summer days, the air quality drops, the sky turns hazy, and it can really limit outdoor activities, and it can be a pain for any younger kids or anyone sensitive to air quality. Most likely or not, at one point of the year, your kid's soccer practice or outdoor practice will be canceled because of the smoke, and it just puts a delay and a dull on things. Then on top of this, you have the inversions in the winter, which are one of the biggest weather complaints here. Instead of the beautiful blue skies winters people imagine, inversions trap that cold air, fog, and pollution down into the valley, creating these gray, gloomy stretches that can last for weeks or even more. And speaking of winter, it's not as mild as some people claim. Meridian absolutely gets real winter. You will see snow, icy mornings, slick roads, and freezing temperatures. In 2024, for example, Boise saw over 30 inches of snow, and Meridian is right next door, so you can imagine they'll get about the same. You still need to winterize your sprinkler systems and blow them out, shovel your driveways, and be ready for those long stretches of bitter cold. Overall, the weather here isn't extreme compared to other states, and we don't get a ton of snow, but we still do get snow, and it's not as easy or mild as people expect our weather to be. And the smoke, inversions, and real winters do catch a lot of families and people by surprise. I personally think the weather here is a huge pro, however the wildfire smoke and inversions, they really do stink. Another big con people don't realize until they live here is just how explosive the growth has actually been in Meridian and how much that growth affects daily life. With the population jumping more than 50%, and you can feel it everywhere you go. What used to be easy, quick drives around town now come with noticeable longer commute times, especially during peak hours. Roads like Eagle Road, 10 Mile, Chinden, and Franklin get congested fast. And because infrastructure wasn't designed for this level of growth, traffic can feel even worse than what people expect from Little Idaho. And what comes with all this is a ton of construction, new shopping centers, and entire neighborhoods popping up in every direction you can imagine. And it starts to feel crowded in a way that surprises a lot of families moving here for that quieter paced lifestyle. Almost every day you'll hear of a new business coming into Meridian or a new shopping center. The growth is truly surprising. And currently, the district at 10 Mile is being built, which is a $1 billion shopping center. It is the largest in all of Idaho, and it will be 4 times bigger than the village at Meridian. It will have a 2-story Target, possibly a Whole Foods, a ton of dining options, and it will even have apartments, condos, and single-family homes with a ton of walking trails connected to it. It will be a really cool project and definitely one that will change how Meridian feels. And I am not sure if the growth is sustainable for the next 5 years. The wells and our water system is already being strained, and I'm just not sure if this growth can continue, and it is something to have on your mind, because I do not want you to move here thinking, oh, this is what Meridian's going to be, and then in 5 years, or maybe even 15 years, the population could double again, which changes the way Meridian, Idaho is going to feel, and can leave you living somewhere where you might not enjoy. And another con you'll hear a lot of people who live in Meridian say is how the infrastructure is consistently playing catch up and it's just not quite there with all the nonstop building happening all over the city. So everywhere you look, something new is popping up. Subdivisions, apartments, schools, shopping centers, medical buildings, you name it, we're probably building it right now. And while the growth brings great amenities, the challenge is that the roads, schools, and utilities weren't originally designed for this many people. That means widening projects, detours, construction zones, delays. Schools in certain areas are packed, neighborhoods are filling up as fast as they can build them, and some intersections or roads simply just can't keep up with the amount of traffic flowing through them anymore. Even things like parks, water infrastructure, which we touched on, and community services are under huge pressure because the city is expanding so quickly and they just can't build and upgrade it as quick. Highway 16 is getting a major extension which will connect major routes and help with relief pressure on those overburdened roads like 10 Mile, Meridian, and Locust Grove, which all of these are slated to be done in 2027. There are also plans to widen Meridian Road, which is State Highway 69 between Victoria and Columbia Road, to help handle traffic growth in South Meridian. And to address traffic safety and flow, the state recently microsurfaced Eagle Road between State Highway 44 and I-84, which is also part of the corridor-wide improvements. So as you can see, there's a ton of projects going on, and all these projects cost money. Some of these projects are state-funded, while others come from property taxes, which we have to ask the question, will property taxes go up to keep up with the cost of just the infrastructure projects? I know a lot of people who are very worried that their property taxes are going to double in the next 5 years because they can't keep paying for these infrastructure projects. We have to get the money from somewhere. So that is a very real fear of moving to Meridian, is how are they going to keep paying for these projects? So the city is working very hard to keep up, but the reality is that the growth is outpacing the infrastructure, and it creates that feeling of consistent building mode that some people find exhausting, especially if they moved here expecting that calmer, slower paced life, or just a pace of life that they're not dealing with construction non-stop. I do know a family who was considering moving to Boise or Denver, and they actually chose Denver because they felt like they weren't living in a construction zone, and they knew what they were getting with Denver. They knew in 10 years Denver was pretty much going to be Denver, but they weren't sure what Meridian was going to be like in 10 years. But Meridian is truly a fantastic place to live, and there is a reason it has been one of the fastest growing cities in the entire country. It's clean, it's safe, it's family friendly, and packed with amenities, beautiful parks, great schools, and endless neighborhoods to choose from. The Village at Meridian, new restaurants, new gyms, just everything is brand new. So people move here because the lifestyle is easy, it is convenient, and it's built around families and retirees in particular. You get that classic suburban feel with plenty of space, newer homes, and a truly welcoming community. And for families and retirees coming from bigger cities, it truly does feel like a breath of fresh air. But with all those pros, there are of course very real cons that come with the level of growth, and that's where some people hesitate. Like we covered today, the traffic, the nonstop building, the crowded schools, the water concerns, the sprawling suburban vibe, the limited entertainment, the wildfires, the inversions. They're not deal breakers for everyone, but there are things you should understand before making the move here. At the end of the day, no city is perfect. Meridian is generally a great place to live and to raise a family or even to retire. But the big question moving forward is whether the city can keep up with its own growth. If it can, it will continue to be one of the best places to live in all of Idaho and in the United States. But if it does struggle with some of the pain points that we've talked about today, those pain points might become noticeable and more noticeable, and that's when people might start leaving and why you might not want to move to Meridian, Idaho. If you have any questions at all, please reach out, shoot over an email, shoot over a text, or even give me a call. I'd be more than happy to chat with you about your current situation. My entire goal is to help you make a smooth move here and start living the life you're excited about. Everyone's situation is completely unique, so it really helps to talk through your plans to figure out what's going to be the right move for you and your family. Oh, and don't forget to download your Living in Eagle, Idaho guide below. I made it specifically for anyone wanting to learn more about the neighborhoods, the lifestyle, nearby towns, the weather, annual events, and so much more. So again, please reach out if you have any questions. All my contact information is down below, and I hope to chat with you soon. Oh, and I also have some other great videos here if you do want to learn more about the Treasure Valley.